The set has become significantly more festive since I made my last video, and in that festive spirit, Justin Trudeau's Liberals join us because they quite possibly gave us the greatest Christmas gift ever, and that is embarrassing clips that they posted to their own Twitter accounts. It's quite amazing. The sorts of things that the Liberals actually think are good gotchas these days, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel so hard to get some attack angle on Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives. They think that simply just answering a question in a slightly snarky manner equals a fantastic hit on the Conservatives. Really, all this kind of does is just prove that they have nothing and that they're increasingly just using kind of mean girl tactics to try and get Canadians to not vote for the Conservatives. Like, you're going to vote for the Conservatives? Well, they're a bunch of far right losers, so do that if you want. But just letting you know, the cool kids are voting for the Liberals. Like, that's basically the Liberals pitch these days. They're not going to tell you that they're actually going to like cut your taxes or do anything that might make your life better, but they're just going to basically throw out a bunch of snarky jabs at the Conservative Party and hope that you're going to somehow come over to their side. I don't know. This is just like lunchroom type tactics. Anyways, but today, Karina Gould, I think, yeah, Karina Gould, the Liberals House leader, has provided us with two amazing clips of her absolutely embarrassing herself on behalf of Justin Trudeau.
Speak to the morale of the Liberal caucus in there.
Oh my God, it's so strong. It's so strong. How so?
Yeah.
We're all here, right? And we know why we're here. We got elected by Canadians to stand for things that matter to them. Like, the stuff.
Sorry, I just got to quickly cut off that clip because I want to break down that start. It's hilarious. Just a reporter asks her about the morale inside the Liberal government, and she's like, "Oh, it's fantastic." And the person's like, "How so?" Like, just like kind of concerned and confused of why she would answer that while the Liberals are scraping the bottom of the 20s in the polls. And she's like, "Well, of course we have great morale. We're all here." Like, what does that even mean? Like, what, you guys didn't like all like evacuate Canada and move to different countries in disgrace yet? Is like, oh, we're all still in Ottawa. That means we're doing well. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's like bare minimum standards for how a party's doing, is that you guys haven't all defected to different countries yet. But anyways, I'll keep continuing, but that was just too bad for me to let it go.
Speak to the morale of the Liberal caucus in there.
Oh my God, it's so strong. It's so strong. How so?
Yeah.
We're all here, right? And we know why we're here. We got elected by Canadians to stand for things that matter to them. Like, the stuff that they're voting against, right? Like, they're voting against measures to end gender-based violence. They're voting against supports to manufacturing. They're voting against supports to our border services agency. Like, they are literally trying to shut down the government, which is the page out of the extreme right Republican handbook in the United States. Canadians have seen the dysfunction in Washington. They don't want that here in Ottawa, but that's what Mr. Poilievre is bringing, right? That's what he's trying to do, is create that same kind of dysfunction in our country that we're seeing from extreme right-wing politicians in the United States.
I don't even know why she thinks this is going to play. The Liberals tried this like last week when the week was wrapping up with the big voting marathon that happened. That, look, the Conservatives voted against, like acts to, or like sort of some measure to try and end gender-based violence. Have you guys ended gender-based violence? Have you guys done anything to make it better? Oh, no, you actually reduced legal penalties for people who, hurt women. You have reduced penalties for gang members carrying illegal firearms. What? Like, the idea that these people take crime seriously is insane, but the Conservatives voted against one of many measures combined into single pieces of legislation or big sort of omnibus bills. The Conservatives voted against it, more so just to hold up votes in order to pressure the Liberals into trying to put a pause on the carbon tax, and they wouldn't do it. Nobody actually believes that the Conservatives somehow like don't support manufacturing. Although, to be fair, what she's really saying is subsidizing businesses that are run by liberal-friendly individuals. That's not supporting manufacturing. That is subsidizing friends of the Liberal government. It actually makes industry significantly weaker. Just look at the American car industry, but when they were being subsidized in the 70s, and when they finally had to take off all the tariffs on Japanese and Korean car manufacturers and German car manufacturers, and the American auto industry almost got wiped out because they had gotten used to being terrible at their jobs. But again, like, I don't even know why Karina Gould thinks this is playing whatsoever. Like, just like it's a page, or she said the page out of the extreme right-wing playbook to hold up votes in government. Also, just letting her know, while the Republicans are holding up some votes in the US, the Democrats are also holding up votes, who also have members of the hard left in their wings who, for some reason, get invited to speak at Liberal and NDP events. But, like, does she realize that American politics is very much back and forth? That because the Republicans have a majority in the House, they try and pass things, and the Democrats pretty much mostly try and block it. And in the Senate, where the Democrats have a majority, the Republicans are trying to block stuff. This is not something where anyone is under the impression that somehow it's like a right-wing thing to filibuster. If the conservatives have a majority or a minority government after the next election, you will see the liberals doing extreme right-wing things and trying to hold up votes. It's kind of their job to hold up votes if their own constituents don't want that stuff. Like, obviously, sometimes, like, oftentimes votes get held up for cynical reasons. I think the conservatives are holding up things for good reasons. You should be holding up votes in order to try and pressure the liberals to give some people tax relief. But whatever, I guess the conservatives hate Ukrainians or something because they were holding up votes in order to try and give some tax relief to people, and because they didn't just rubber stamp everything that the liberals put up. Anyways, I want to get to the second clip here of Karina when she was actually in the House of Commons speaking, because like the own goals here are quite amazing. Every time that she tries to insult Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, it ends up just being a very bad reflection on the current state of the Liberal Party. So check out this clip.
Speaking of Montreal, Mr. Speaker, it's nice to see the Leader of the Opposition show up for work today. I guess there wasn't a fundraiser that he could attend. But if we want to talk about last week, Mr. Speaker, what Canadians saw on display was the Leader of the Opposition bringing right-wing Republican tactics to try and shut down the government, Mr. Speaker. Canadians don't want the kind of chaos that they see in Washington. They want responsible leadership in Canada, and that's not what we witnessed from the Leader of the Opposition last week. On this side of the House, we will continue to stand up for Canadians and stand up to bullies.
That's the way it is.
Bullying equals the Conservatives force there to be a debate on each piece of legislation that comes up for a vote. Bullying, I guess, that's extreme right wing. Regardless, we've already been over that portion of her argument. But at the very beginning, what's hilarious is basically she just mentions the fact that the Liberal Party cannot fundraise anything, that they are so far behind in the fundraising that it's notable that Pierre Poilievre is back in the House of Commons because he wasn't out raising money. I don't think she realizes that's not a bad thing. It's demonstrating that Pierre Poilievre is so popular, he can go to any town, regardless if it's a traditionally conservative, liberal, or NDP district, and have huge crowds of people show up to see him speak and then give him money. Do you think Justin Trudeau can do that? He's literally having to discount tickets to events where they're supposed to be liberal influencing fundraisers, where people who want to influence the liberal government pay maxed out donations to come and shake hands with Justin Trudeau and maybe tell them about a business that they want money shuffled towards. This is not a gotcha that Karina Gould thinks it is. It's actually quite sad. And you can even see it from the Twitter reactions. Like, I don't want to pull it up on screen. The thing is, not only did she get fact checked on the idea that somehow extreme right, in order to just filibuster and force debates to happen on legislation to try and get what you want. It's kind of the whole point of being a politician in Ottawa, is to try and get things that your constituents want or your party base wants. But whatever. But like the reactions to her posts in general are just people like myself just quote tweeting and saying, this is hilarious that she thinks this is a gotcha. It's not conservative scrambling trying to debunk what she says, because we're not worried about what she's saying. What she's saying is pretty petty. Who cares? I don't even get, I don't get where this is going to get the Liberals' votes. Nobody also even watches like the House of Commons live on the internet unless they're like a nerd like me. Nobody knows that the Conservatives were even filibustering. There was some articles about it. The Conservatives were more using that attack as a tactic directly against Liberal MPs, that we're going to force you to be here for 13 hours straight, voting and debating each piece of legislation very slowly if you guys want this all passed. Or you could put a pause on the carbon tax and we'll just let everything go to a vote right away. That's what they were doing. It wasn't to try and win votes in the public. They were specifically trying to pressure the Liberals to actually break on the carbon tax. The Liberals are thinking that Canadians are going to be outraged by this. Nobody watches the House of Commons. who cares? But the thing is that the Liberals have been so out of touch, and they've not actually had to market to Canadians directly in so long that they actually just don't understand what appeals to people. It's supposed to be the media who's supposed to basically let them win by like just putting out basically liberal propaganda all day long. And because that all failed, now the Liberal Party actually has to dust off their their political strategy books, and they haven't been relevant in like 2 decades when people maybe used to care a little bit about parliamentary procedure. It just isn't a thing anymore. So they're like trying to hit the Conservatives on these like really weird technical points that they're not respecting the gears of Parliament, the workings of Parliament. Guys, you guys destroyed all the parliamentary norms. How many ethics investigations has Justin Trudeau had? Why do we care that the Conservatives held you guys up so you couldn't go back home where you're being you couldn't leave your overpaid jobs early on a Friday, and you actually had to do your jobs for like do a little bit of overtime work? Whatever. Nobody cares. Anyways, so that should be it for me today. Just letting everyone know I'm still in that lawsuit with that billionaire. I'm currently winning it. He's dragging it out. The case is 100% going our way, and it's effectively what I would consider just a slap suit, basically just trying to make the process the punishment. It's a stupid defamation case. There's literally no evidence that we've done anything wrong, and so if you want to donate to my Give, Send, Go legal fundraiser, I have a link to it in the description of this video below. And then I also have a link to my website because I'm running for the Calgary Signal Hill Conservative Party nomination. So if you live in Calgary Signal Hill, it's kind of on the west side of Calgary. You can buy a Conservative Party membership and vote for me for the party nomination. I'm a real conservative. I actually live in the riding, and you think that wouldn't be very unique, but in some nomination races and safe ridings, you have very liberal people who don't even live in the riding jump into the race hoping that they can snag a riding from party members that usually wouldn't vote for someone like them if they actually knew much about who they were. But anyways, other than that, I'll see everyone in my next video. It's going to be on polling because, of course, I'm going to make a video on polling.